Welcome to another installment of Friday Q&A. I hope you're all doing really well. I'd like to start this video by thanking you all for the very generous birthday wishes you all sent me. It was my birthday last Saturday, the 30th of May. I had a lovely day with my family and I ate some cake. What more can you ask for? If you're feeling super generous, I will include some links in the video description to some charitable organizations you can donate some money to if you in any way feel inclined to do that. So check that out. Let's get on with the questions, and we're going to start by talking about my favorite Black Sabbath album. Thank you to whoever asked this question. For me, it has to be Volume 4 because that is the first Black Sabbath album I ever owned, and it was one of the first albums I ever owned on vinyl, and that to me is like the ground zero doom metal album as well. It's low tuned, the production just sounds ominous and sludgy, and there's so many kind of moods on that album that they move through. So that's my favorite Sabbath album, with the little caveat that it's my favorite, kind of original lineup album, because I do really, really like the Heaven and Hell album with Ronnie James Dio, because, it's got Heaven and Hell and it's got Die Young on there, which are two of my favorite songs of all time, let alone Black Sabbath songs. And I really like the album. I don't know if you meant to pronounce it Tyre. You don't pronounce it Tyre, I'm an idiot. Tyr or Tyr with Tony Martin. That's a fantastic sounding album, and it's got Cozy Powell on drums and has a song Anno Mundi on there, which is incredible. Great, great song. I kind of like all the different singers Black Sabbath had over the years. Everyone forgets about Tony Martin. The demos they did with Ray Gillen are incredible. And, the album they did with Ian Gillan is pretty good as well. Speaking of Ray Gillen, because I know someone is going to ask me about Badlands, I do love that first Badlands album. And while we're talking about favorite albums, another one that came up, my favorite Van Halen album, and I am 100% a Fair Warning guy. That is my favorite Van Halen album for a lot of reasons. I think Eddie was probably at his most creative as a rhythm and a lead guitar player, and I just kind of like the overall production and the kind of ominous vibe that it has. So love that. And because we've been talking about 80s hair metal bands for the last couple of weeks, Firehouse came up. I will admit, back in the day when I was listening to lots and lots of this stuff, I never got into Firehouse because I could never find their stuff on CD, but I have since become a fan. To me, Firehouse are kind of what I always wish Bon Jovi sounded like. They had that kind of hard edge, yet they're still really melodic. And we were meant to play with them at Melodic Rockfest in Melbourne, and that's a whole other story for another day. They pulled out like a lot of other bands there, but I was really looking forward to seeing them live because from everything that I've heard, they're still a fantastic sounding live band. Another band that came up as well in the comments, Killer Dwarfs, and we played with them one year at Rocklahoma, and they were really, really good. They were a super fun band. So a couple of blasts from the past. And Lillian Axe as well. I have a photo with Steve Blaze somewhere. He's a really nice guy, and he's one of the best guitar players I've ever seen live in my life. So underrated. Alrighty, let's move on. We'll talk about some tones now, I guess. Somebody wanted to know how they could go about replicating some of the sounds on the Ragdoll Back to Zero album with their Kemper. On that album, I mostly used my old dual rectifier and blended it with a couple of different amps. I actually borrowed a Kemper a few years ago and I profiled those amps. So if you look for my name on the Rig Exchange, you can find profiles with my old rectifier and like my Marshall DSL and a couple of other, probably the Soldano as well. So download those, try them out, see how you go, and hopefully you can just kind of put your guitar in drop C and play along to that album and really enjoy that. The other question relates to the FM3, which I have here, and somebody asked about replicating the PV Mace amp. And I immediately thought, why would anybody want to replicate that? And then, of course, it's because it was like the Southern Rock amp. Where am I? And from what I understand, that was essentially kind of like a modified version of something like an old Fender Dual Showman. And it was kind of made to try and be a more reliable backline. Didn't they have like 6L6s or something in there? So I would just get one of the Fender models. I really like the Deluxe Reverb. I know it's, you know, a lower wattage Fender amp, but for that kind of stuff, it does a pretty good job. This is going to be super bright with this guitar. Because anybody who mentions Molly Hatchet in a comment makes me want to play that riff. So yeah, I would play around with some of the different Fender amp models in there. There are quite a few. There's like the Deluxe Reverb, there's a Twin, there's a Vibrolux, there's a Bassman. Pretty much every classic Fender amp of some sort is modeled in the Fractal stuff. So I'd say you'd be able to cop the PV Mace vibe. If you really wanted to get authentic with it, track down some impulse responses of that original cabinet, and that will probably be a major part of the sound. I say probably, it will be a major part of the sound in there. So, alrighty, my favorite, this is like a favorites episode, my favorite Ragdoll music video. Thank you to the person who asked this question. And I would have to say it's the music video for the song All I Want, which is actually the very first music video we ever did. And you can go and look up Ragdoll All I Want on there. It's a fun clip. The person who made the video for us, they used the movie Spring Breakers kind of as their reference point. I'm a big Harmony Korine fan, so that was kind of cool. And you know, we went for that kind of vibe with the twist ending in there. And you know, we did that, and I had a whole bunch of people contact me and be like, "Why are you guys glorifying violence in your songs?" And yeah, if that's what you got out of it, that's what you got out of it. I'm not going to sit here and question people's interpretations of what's, you know, meant to be art, but yeah, that's totally not the vibe. So it's not about glorifying violence. You can go and watch it, and you know, it's all in what they do at the end. And I remember we went and shot our part of that video. I think we had a 6-hour shoot. I basically got whiplash after that because we had to play the song so many times that, like, you know, full on, they were like just perform, you know, so we're jumping around, headbanging, doing all that kind of stuff. And yeah, the next day I like woke up and couldn't move my neck. So we did the 6-hour shoot, we did our part, and then like a week later they sent us the video clip, and I remember watching it and being like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I love it. I love how the video kind of matches with the song and kind of what we were trying to say in the lyrics and how it came out with the videos. So yeah, pretty stoked about that one. I really like the video that our buddy Chris Reeve did for the song Shine as well, because right around the time that song came out, there was a bunch of declassified nuclear test footage which came out. And yeah, we were able to do that and use that and kind of tie it into a little bit of the message with the song. So yeah, that's a good one. And that also ties into another question that I got, not in the YouTube comments. I got this as a private message for the song Rust and what the lyrics are about. And, you know, kind of what I said earlier, like, I don't want to, part of what I like about writing lyrics and writing music is that once the song's out, it's not really my song anymore. It's got a lot to do with the person listening to it and how they're interpreting it. That's kind of part of the fun. And anyway, to give you my slant on that, when we were writing that, it's the whole thing is really, I guess, about that kind of that little voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough and that you're a failure and that, you know, there's kind of no point in going on. I'm sure we've all been there. I'm sure a lot of us are there at the moment because the world is, you know, terrifying at the moment, to put it lightly. So that's kind of what that song is about. And anytime we play it, that kind of intensity that comes with that, I really feel anyway, to me, a song is more than just a cool collection of riffs. It is about the underlying themes and the message in there and the kind of emotion that goes with all of that. So yeah, that's a pretty intense song to play live. This has become very heavy, hasn't it? Let me play you guys out of this with some sweet little chords. All right, Buddha amps. Have I played one? Yes, they're pretty cool. I think I played a Super Drive a while ago, but when I think of Buddha, I think of the Boudoir, which is my favorite physical wah pedal ever. I got one right around the time we did the Here Today EP with Ragdoll, and if you've heard the song Tell Me, that is the wah that's all over that, and it changed my life when it came to wah. So the Buddha stuff is really cool. And then somebody asked about mini humbuckers. We're talking about bits of guitars now. On the rubato, I really like the mini humbuckers. I guess my main criticism with that is that it would be cool if you've got a guitar that's only routed for mini humbuckers, and you want to change to like a different full-size humbucker. That just kind of puts a limitation on what aftermarket pickups you can add in there, if that's something you want to do. But I think mini humbuckers are super cool because I grew up listening to Thin Lizzy, and I always think of Scott Gorham with that Les Paul Deluxe with the mini buckers, and he always played super tasty stuff, but he always had a really great tone. So I do like mini humbuckers. And Johnny Winter with the Firebird, those Firebird pickups, which I guess essentially are mini humbuckers as well. I love those. I was asked about the Evertune bridge. Again, I still haven't got around to buying a guitar with an Evertune bridge or demoing one. Hopefully that's something that I can amend very soon. And about the PRS stuff and the 10 tops, I don't really care about the 10 tops. Like, this is a 10 top guitar. It's pretty cool. It's not super flashy, but it is a beautiful piece of wood. And I have a Blue Custom 24 that doesn't have a 10 top, where I think the top actually looks fantastic as well. So to me, that's like a preference thing. Some people really like the PRS stuff for the fancy wood. I like them for the way they sound and the way they play. I mean, my favorite one is just painted black. And, if I had a signature PRS, it would probably just be painted black. It would probably just end up looking a lot like Mark Tremonti's signature model. Did someone ask a question about those? Yes. I haven't played a Tremonti stop tail, to the person who asked. I've only played one with the Trem, and that was pretty cool, but I was like, you know what? I wish this had a stop tail. So yeah, because I imagine it would be a lot like my SC245, just with different pickups. So I would like to do that. How are we going with the questions? I'm going to just take a quick peek and play some stuff. That was the last question about the Celestion F12X200 speaker. I'm really tempted to order one and try it out in a cab or something like that, just because I've seen quite a few people talking about that. But I did get an Atomic CLR Neo Mark II, so I've got that. It's just sitting down here. So over the next couple of weeks, I need to figure out how I'm going to do a demo video for that thing. But I got a chance to crank it up today, and it's pretty fantastic. The without going too much into it, it's like, yeah, it kind of sounds like studio monitors, just blisteringly loud. So there'll be some stuff with the CLR coming up. And I mean, if you guys want to see me do something with the Celestion, if there's enough demand for it, I'll probably just order one and slap it into a cabinet, just because I'm curious about it. Otherwise, yeah, that kind of wraps everything up. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have any questions you would like to ask me, you can ask me anything at all, any kind of content you would like me to cover over the coming weeks. Make a suggestion in the comment section below. Have a great weekend, take care of yourself, and most of all, be good to one another. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.